Alright guys, so we're back and we're gonna pull this thing apart because in the last video you saw that I pulled the camshaft out. I had a hard time getting the cam out and I found some chunks of metal on the camshaft. So there's a bunch of like metal shavings, metal flake, and there was actually some longer pieces, like 1 inch or longer pieces of metal that I don't really feel very good about. So now I'm going to go through and I'm going to pull all the pistons out and probably tear it down to do cam bearings and clean it. So last time, like I said, when I did the 6 liter in my truck, did the same thing because I bought a low oil pressure LQ4. I got it for like 200 bucks. Had low oil pressure. It ended up being the center cam bearing was seized to the camshaft. So that was the cause of the low oil pressure. So I did the cam bearings installed with a hot tank at a local machine shop, and they charged me $75 out the door. So I feel like that is what I'm going to do again with this one, mostly because I don't really know how much metal is in there. There was enough that it made me uncomfortable, and I don't, it was like big chunks of metal. So give me a chance to kind of pull everything out. I'll look at maybe look inside the pump, see if the pump, I'm sure the pump is fine, but I really want to see the rest of the bearings mainly. So let's get started on that stuff, and we'll make some magic happen. So we'll get this thing off, take the pump off. If you guys hear some humming in the background, I broke out one of my old heaters. Well, I'm gonna have to pull the pan off first. Silliness. I was thinking I had this off already, but I pulled out one of my old heaters out of the attic, and I stopped using it a couple of years ago because it's kind of an expensive heater to run in the garage and keep it warm all winter. I did the math on it. It was costing me like about $160 a month if I were to run it all the time. So I stopped running that one, and I actually piped a vent from my furnace all the way over to the garage now. So that's what I'm using primarily. But it's still usually sweatshirt weather in the garage with the heater going. So I decided I wanted to be in a t-shirt today. So we're going to live a little bit and we're going to warm it up. Guys, feel free to fast forward through any of this stuff. I know you just saw me take this pan off a couple days ago. None of this is going to be really exciting. But you never know. I might just come up with a really exciting story to tell you guys while I'm working. I don't know what that exciting story would be yet. Maybe we'll think of something. So I'm going to do the DOD delete. A lot of you guys are asking if I'm going to do the DOD delete. Yes. I'm going to do the DOD delete. Really don't have a reason not to do it, especially with the engine didn't come with lifters or heads or anything like that. So I'm going to get new lifters, which is going to add some cost, but I knew that getting it, so I don't know, guys. We'll see. I still like, even with the issue, which was unexpected, but really it shouldn't be a surprise that you buy an unknown engine and you have issues with it. It's hard to say it. A lot of times these things get tossed around. A lot of times these things get tossed around between multiple people, and even the people that have it aren't really sure of the history. So like I said, like I'm not really one to get too upset about stuff if I buy it and it's not really like exactly what I thought it was going to be. But what I do really appreciate is the guy I got it from was honest. Like in the post right away, it was like, hey, it wouldn't be a bad idea to maybe check it over. So that's a lot better in my opinion than a lot of guys out there that are like, oh yeah, everything's perfect. It's 100% perfect. And then it's actually a hunk of shit. So I saw one the other day. It was on Facebook. It was a complete L33. I think it was aluminum block 5.3, and it was complete. So, and the guy that was selling it actually recommended it in the comments on the guy's post that was selling this one, and was told somebody else, hey, I have this for sale and it's close to you. And he was selling the thing for $1,000, and I was like, oh, that seems like a pretty decent deal, but it was like pretty far away, and it kind of looked like shit. So I just was like not really interested in that. But he was like, yeah, come get it. It's close to you, $1,000. And then, surprise, surprise, I found the thing on Facebook Marketplace, the same exact one on Facebook Marketplace like a week or so later, and the guy had it for sale and it has like some issue, like a collapsed lifter, or there was some problem with it. So he was on this other page telling somebody to basically come buy it, travel to his house because he was closer, come buy it. Didn't explain any of the issues or the details. And then I see the thing posted again on a different page with frickin' problems. So I guess you can never really be too sure. Holy moly, I'm lost right now. What do I want to do with my life? What do I want to do with my life, boys? Okay, so I'm gonna actually take all the pistons out first. I'm gonna get some use out of this big guy. Maybe a couple times. So I'm just gonna lay them out on the bench. This is gonna be fun. This will be like the first time ever that I didn't set out a separate table to take this apart. I'm just gonna leave the damn thing on the bench. So this is the number one. I already took the number one out. So we already looked at this one. So we know what this one looks like. We'll take out number two. I'm just going to lay them in order. I'll kind of show them to you guys as I pull them out too. This one looks like it might have a little scuff in it. But not too bad. You can see there's a little mark there. Crank looks okay. Oh, that one's interesting. This bearing is like really loose. Normally they're in there pretty tight. Bearings not so bad. Alright guys, so all of the pistons and rods are out. I didn't find anything weird on any of the bearings, so that's good. They all look really good. So I'm going to pull the crank out now. And if you guys aren't familiar, so all of these crank caps, they have this little like toe foot thing on it that goes backwards, except for the back one. On the back of the engine it goes forward, and they're marked with a number on them, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this one's got number 5 on here, so you know which way they go. You can also still see it, and I'll show you when I pull it out, but you can see the marks in the block usually as you pull them off. So if you get confused, you can see which way they were. So I'm going to go through now and just loosen all of these up. So there's going to be 4 on the top of the cap, and then there's going to be 2 on the outside, 1 on each side. So there's actually six bolts holding these little guys in there. Need to eat my spinach. And I'm not that strong, and my wrench is not that big. Just saying. I don't got anything to hide, guys. I'm not Superman. You see the size of my arms in a t-shirt. I'm not that big. Yep. Probably could have just used the big guy and zipped those out, but and on the sides it's going to be a 10. Did I say what the inside is? A 13 and a 15. Alright guys, so I am back. When you didn't really think I was gone, my camera actually shut off. Because I think the clip I was recording got to 30 minutes. Which I'm probably just going to do a lot of time lapse in there because it wasn't really that exciting anyways. I wasn't really talking, just doing much. I was just working on it. So basic stuff, just pulling everything apart. So I think it shut off when I was taking the 10 mils out of the sides. And then there's a 13 and a 15 mil here and here. Those come out, and then these two on the sides. So I did go through, all the bearings looked good. Wasn't any issues with the bearings. So I gotta get the back one off. I pulled all the back plate bolts out. So I'm gonna pull the back plate off, and I think I'm kind of leaning towards somebody was inside of here already and maybe pre-gapped the rings, because 3 or 4 of the bolts on the back plate were hand tight. So I basically took it with a wrench, and there was like no resistance when I was trying to loosen it. So I'm gonna guess that somebody had been inside here, which would make sense why the ring gaps were at 28. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody's already in here and pre-gapped the rings, like they were going to use it for boost, and then that lifter took a shit, and they heard some clanging, and then just decided to get rid of it. So this bearing has a scuff in it on the back. There's a nice groove in the back. There's like 3 of them. They all catch a fingernail. And it looks like there's a little tiny groove on the crank. Let me give it a look and see. It's definitely a little mark. I don't see any. I mean, I see a little line on it, but I don't feel any grooves or anything. So I feel like the crank is still good. Everything seems like it's fine. Good enough to my standards, anyways. I don't see any reason that I wouldn't run it. I don't see really anything bad on here. I'll grab a towel and I'll just wipe the bearings. Give it a little quick wipe and see if there's anything bad. Any baddies, any bad guys. Yeah, I don't know. There's some scuffs in the bearings, a few of them. There's like some pits in a couple of them. Nothing really bad, like catastrophic failure, metal everywhere bad. So I might get a different set. I don't know. I'll think on it for a little bit, but I'm gonna pull them all out. I'm gonna take this thing in and we'll get it cleaned. We'll get new cam bearings, because there was a big chunk of metal that came flying out. And I'm just, I guess, assuming it's from the cam bearing. I can't imagine, unless it was just a chunk of that lifter, which maybe I can reevaluate my life here and look at the bearings a little bit better and see. Yeah, I think I'm going to go ahead and replace them, because there's actually like some raised spots in it, and the cam didn't want to come out at first. I couldn't actually turn it by hand. Even the first time when I took the cam gear off of it, I couldn't turn it over by hand. Usually you can like free spin the cam inside there. I couldn't turn it. I had to put the bolt in it to turn it. So there's some spots that are actually raised up. So I mean, I'm just gonna do it. Go ahead and do it. Just gonna send it. Just gonna do it. Yeah. So get the bearings out, the rest of them, and then this thing is pretty much completely tore down, ready to go in, ready to go into to the shop. Never Land. So I was just going through and kind of wiping all the oil off, and there was on the back side of the center thrust bearing. This thing was another couple big chunks, slivers of metal. It was just sitting right up here. It looks like it was in the oil galley and then came back down. The way that the lubrication works, it goes from the top up by the lifters, comes down through the crank and then to the rods. So big chunks of metal almost got it all the way through in this oil galley and stuck down in there. So I wonder where that metal actually came from. Could have just been the lifter chunks getting shredded and then got stuck in the galley and then came back down through there, but it's interesting. Very interesting. Now ready to go. I'm going to bring it in tomorrow, and one of the bad ones you can see there, the one that was probably causing all the metal, one of the bad ones here, you can see it. This is probably the one that was causing all the metal. There's actually like big chunks missing out of it. The other ones don't look so bad. They're kind of beat up, and they're actually raised up though, so the cam is in there really tight. But what's kind of concerning about that, and I guess what I'm a little concerned about, I guess, is the oil flow. If that was the bearing that, say it fell out and then just dropped down right into the pan, got sucked back up, it would have had to flow all the way back through the whole oil passage to get stuck behind this bearing here. So there might be other chunks just because of the way the oil flows. So gonna send it in, get it cleaned, get new bearings, and then we'll just keep going. These are some more chunks that I found. Little chunks all over. So gonna get it out, we'll fix it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.